Have you ever wondered about your retirement and how you will live after you have stopped working? Have you wondered if you will ever be able to stop working at all? My name's Chris, and I am a science professor with a business background. I have been trading stocks for the past 20 years, ran multiple side businesses, and I follow economics like it's going out of style. Retirement is a growing problem for many people. Back in the 1970s, pensions were king and were offered by a lot of businesses. Your job would take a small portion of your pay, invest it for you, and when you reached retirement age, they would treat it like an annuity and pay it out to you over the next 40 or so years. This was how retirement worked for decades. People were happy with it. Their retirement was insured to be there, it was managed, and it grew over time to last you until you died. In 1978, a new act emerged that created the 401k. The IRS recognized it as a legitimate tax advantaged retirement account, and before you knew it, businesses everywhere were adopting them to replace the pension. Some places would still offer pensions, but as the years went on, these became less and less commonplace. With the phasing out of pensions and the entrance of 401ks to the marketplace, people were generally not ready for this change. They were not well understood at the time, and many people are honestly still confused on their purpose. Well, what you might not know is that 401ks were not intended to completely replace your retirement accounts. Instead, they were meant as a supplement for high income earners to act as a tax advantaged account to lower their taxable income. In retrospect, they were never meant to replace pensions. Yet here we are, 50 years later, still stumbling on how to prepare for retirement. And honestly, nobody told us how to prepare. They gave us a tool that is so complex that the average person has no idea how to use it. What should I invest in? What are brokerage fees? And how do they affect my total investments? How should I consider risk when investing? These are all legitimate questions we should ask ourselves, and much of it depends on our age and income. And if we really look at the facts in the big picture, that just might be the reason behind them. According to research, the average retiree has around $200,000 at retirement. At pre-retirement age, or less than 64 years of age, that number drops to $185,000. While these numbers may sound substantial, you have to realize that this is supposed to last someone for the next 20 to 40 years, depending on how long they live. In retirement, there is a definitive shift in your costs. Assuming you have your home paid off, most seniors experience a rise in medical and healthcare costs, as well as any long-term care costs. Not all people are as fortunate as this. We can note a large gap in the retiree demographic in that around 41% of retirement age people have zero retirement savings. Yes, you heard that correctly. 41%. That is slightly over 2 out of 5 people have nothing saved for retirement. If this doesn't scare you, it should. Demographic proportions that large indicate that we could be facing a retirement crisis, meaning we could see a large portion of the populating never being able to fully retire and having to continue employment into their later years. With no pensions and no retirement savings, people that would have stepped back from the workforce once they hit 65 will continue to occupy these positions, further holding jobs from young people trying to enter the workforce. The problem becomes more widespread as we look at it further. Around 70% of working Americans currently contribute to a retirement plan, meaning that 30% do not actively save. Of those, there have been recent high peaks in savings rates. For those that do contribute, this savings rate has reached a high of 14.3%, meaning that for every $100 a person earns, they are setting back a little over $14. Along with a lack of saving among Americans, rising costs and inflation are a constant worry. The standard inflation rate for many years was between 2 to 3%. But lately, due to economic factors, some years have seen this peak at 9% in 2022 during the pandemic. It would be so frustrating to save your entire life just to have your earnings and funds dwindle due to inflation. Inflation is the hidden erasure of wealth, and the silent tax most do not see coming. Inflation is the devaluing of currency, and it erases more wealth than any other economic factor. It reduces purchasing power, and effectively makes the remaining money supply worth less over time. For many that hope to retire but are not actively saving, they are heavily banking on Social Security to get them through their later years. For those that don't know, Social Security came out in 1935 and was created as part of the New Deal during the Great Depression. It was originally designed to provide a social safety net for the elderly, unemployed, and disadvantaged. To pay for Social Security, every working person contributes a portion of their paycheck to fund this program. This portion is 6.2%. Social Security has been a hot topic lately, especially among younger generations. There is fear that the fund will run out of money, leaving the later generations to effectively fend for themselves, along with being out of all the money that they originally contributed to the fund, but will not receive any for themselves when it comes to retirement. Is this fear founded? Well, partially. Since it is a government run program, the question of solvency is always forefront. Can't the government just fund the program directly by printing more money or making new initiatives? Can't the government just raise taxes to compensate for any of the fund's losses? Both of these are viable options, with the second option being the most likely in the future. In order to keep Social Security going for the coming decades, the government will most likely have to increase taxes on citizens in order to keep payments going. As it currently resides, Social Security has been increasingly scrutinized for misappropriating funds and overspending on things that did not match its original purpose. For this reason, there has been greater and greater speculation as to how long it can remain viable. Using this as a sequitur, I shall immediately launch into different types of retirement accounts. Now keep in mind, these retirement accounts will vary based on how they handle taxes, and this is very important considering what we just learned. The government loves to create new programs, and to fund these, it almost always requires some form of new tax. Will taxes increase in the future? Nobody can say definitively, but there is a high likelihood that taxes will go up in the future. The trends indicate this. Historical tax rates indicate this. The creation of new forms of taxes and streams of government revenue will show this to be true. Understanding the nature of taxes can help us choose a suitable route for retirement. There are two main types of accounts we can pursue, depending on what our employer offers. The first is a traditional retirement account. This can be an IRA or 401k. To fund a traditional account, you contribute regularly from your paycheck, which goes in before taxes are counted. Yes, you heard that correctly. The money goes into the account pre-tax, meaning you don't pay any taxes on that money now, but instead when you retire. In the meantime, it actually lowers the amount you pay in taxable income. You can save money on taxes by contributing to this type of account. When you go to retire and withdraw from your traditional account, then you will pay taxes. Let's say you have $100,000 in your traditional account. When you retire and go to withdraw, the withdrawn money will be taxed at your current tax rate. For most people, this is around 20 to 24%. Now that $100,000 has become about $78,000. This is the amount you keep. That is your money after taxes. The opposite of this is the Roth retirement account. This is a different beast altogether. With a Roth, you contribute to a retirement account similar to a traditional. You can either invest in increments or lump sums. The difference between the accounts is that a Roth will instead be taxed now, letting the money go into the account and grow tax-free. When you retire and go to withdraw from your Roth account, all of the money is yours. The taxes are paid. It is essentially free and clear. This can affect your current taxes, but most people find a Roth to be the favorable way to go, given the nature of increasing taxes over the years. Unlike a traditional retirement account, you are not subject to the current tax rates when you retire to dictate how much of your account remains after you pay the government their supposed share. Which of these accounts is better? Well, both, and neither. They both offer tax advantages that can aid in different situations. If you're trying to lower your current tax bill and save for retirement, then a traditional is the way to go. If current taxes are not a large consideration and you just want to save tax-free money, then the Roth is the way to go. Most financial advisors would nudge young investors toward the Roth, given the nature of taxes. The only limiting factor on the Roth is the yearly contribution limit. As of now, you can only contribute $7,500 per year to your Roth retirement. With a traditional, this jumps up to $24,500 for those under 50. If you're over 50, the IRS allows additional contributions to help older people catch up. Using this data and given income, one could safely contribute the max amount yearly to their Roth and pour the remaining percentage of contributions to their traditional. In this way, they will get maximum contributions to their retirement as well as take advantage of these tax-favored accounts. What about time? How big is time as a consideration for investing? In plain terms, time is possibly the greatest factor for investing. Someone who starts earlier will have a much longer time to let their money sit on the market, compound, and grow. In fact, the difference of having only 10 years on the market longer than someone else can actually be quite effective. Take two people. Person 1 starts investing at age 20. They contribute $500 per month and continue this until they are 65. Person 2 starts investing at age 30. They also contribute $500 per month until they retire at 65. Person 1, who started at age 20, will have approximately $877,000 in their retirement account upon retirement. Person 2, who didn't start saving until 10 years later, will have approximately $488,000 in their retirement. Why the stark difference? Time is so important to investing in that it exposes the money to growth and compounding over years' time. Compounding was once described as the eighth wonder of the world, and for good reason. With compounding, you are effectively earning interest on interest. The longer it has to work, the greater the result. For this reason, I always tell people to start investing and contributing to retirement as early as possible. The longer your money has to grow, the greater the effect. From the early example, we can see that 10 years' time yielded almost twice the end result. $488,000 versus $877,000. That is a large difference. Will you be able to retire when you retire the proper age? Only you can answer that. By preparing now and preparing early, you can positively change your financial course, knowing that you may have years to contribute to your accounts. Are you perhaps a little older and not sure if it's too late? It isn't. It's never too late to start. Start your contributions today. Start now. Set money back. Reverse the cycle of not preparing for retirement. Every little bit counts. If you are already setting money back, then keep going. In fact, look into automatic yearly increase programs. Most employers should offer some form of yearly increase to retirement, meaning you can incrementally increase your contributions by 1 to 2% per year or whenever you schedule it. This should coincide nicely with annual raises as well. Just got a 3% raise at work? Put a portion of that to retirement and watch your accounts skyrocket over time. Many employers will offer some form of target date retirement fund. These are specialty funds set up to coincide risk to your time horizon when saving for retirement. The concept of time and risk is extremely important, in that one should utilize higher risk stocks and funds when they are younger, and switch to less risky investments as they age and grow closer to retirement. This is due to the time principle that even when engaging in riskier investments when you are younger, you should have ample time to recover any losses as time goes on. Risk should directly correlate to return, in that riskier investments should yield higher returns, with less risky investments yielding lower returns. With target date retirement funds, as you grow closer to your retirement date, the investments will slowly allocate to less risky options, like bonds and mutual funds. You don't want to risk your retirement as you age, and you definitely don't want to see huge losses the year you are trying to quit your job permanently. Do I recommend target date retirement funds? Yes and no. For the average person, they are great. They let non-savvy investors enter the market and invest in moderate risk funds. The problem with target date funds is the fees, or expense ratios. This is the money your broker will take to manage your funds. A target date fund will usually carry expense fees up to 1.5%, but usually around 0.8%. While this might not sound like a lot over years' time, it can definitely erode your gains. Taking what you have just learned, you can make the difference today. If you're already on the right path, then keep going. If you haven't started yet or have a little saved, then let this be your wake-up call that retirement is just around the corner, and failing to prepare for retirement is preparing to fail. Contribute often, contribute consistently, and contribute with intensity